Hey there, my name is Alicia. Nice to meet all of you guys. Here's a little video intro on the questions that we were assigned for discussion number 1. So first off, I'm from Southeast Alaska, and I'm now residing in Seattle, Washington. A little bit about Alaskans is that we will always tell you that we're from Alaska, very similar to how CrossFitters will tell you how they do CrossFit. So we are similar in that regard. But growing up in Southeast, I really spent a lot of my summers fishing and traveling from different remote villages and seeing different communities. And it was through this that I was really able to make some really awesome connections along the way and begin to understand the importance of community and community as a whole. And so through these experiences, I really became interested in wanting to pursue that as I ended up leaving the state and going to get my undergraduate in Washington. And so in my undergraduate, I decided to explore a little bit of the disaster risk reduction world because I kind of mixed my want for science classes and then that social science that I was really looking for. And then through those disaster risk reduction classes, I was like, dang, this is some really awesome stuff. So after graduating, I decided to get a little bit more experience out in the field. And so I did that in doing an 11-month hands-on, fully volunteer position through NCCC, AmeriCorps, FEMA Corps. So for those of you who don't know, the National Civilian Community Corps is actually partnered with FEMA, so the Federal Emergency Management Agency. And it's just this whole group of volunteers that are all young adults, anywhere from 18 to 24, who are out in the community doing what needs to be done. And so what I was a team lead, so I was in charge of all of those, of one specific team that ranged anywhere from 7 to 10 young adults, again 18 to 24, and we did some pretty awesome stuff. So we started off in Mississippi, where we partnered with the American Red Cross to organize and present a nationally implemented home fire prevention campaign called the Pillowcase Project. And so through that, we actually were able to talk to over 2,000 elementary age students. And then in addition to that, we were able to go to all of the American Red Cross emergency shelters and go through their database and update them all for the Gulf Coast to that Southeast chapter, ensuring that they not only met the American Cross's needs, but also FEMA standards. In conjunction with all of this, it was happening all at the 10-year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. So not only was it work that needed to be done, it was also very emotional work as well, so people having to relive that. I was incredibly inspired by the amount of resiliency that the folks in Mississippi had, and talking with different volunteer programs that I was working with, talking with employees of the Red Cross, and just kind of seeing how they were able to rebuild after such a devastating event. After we finished up there, we were actually shipped out to Kansas, of all places. At the time, throughout the whole state, about 80% of the state was in a federally declared disaster. So we were doing some data entry stuff for them, ensuring that everything that was coming in from the field and through all the contractors was getting put into the database, and that it was properly categorized. So that was pretty critical in the long-term recovery of that specific disaster. After that, we were able to go to the National Call Processing Center, which is in Denton, Texas, and in that specific deployment, we are actually registering disaster survivors for federal assistance, which was difficult at times because you were dealing with a lot of emotions on their regard, but it also allowed me to see different parts of the community and different parts of emergency management, whether that be in a positive or a negative light. Again, affirming my want for this profession. Finally, we were all the way in Washington, D.C., so we went all the way over to the East Coast, working in headquarters and working under the Response and Recovery Department, creating a post-wildfire risk analysis document, as well as I had some incredible folks on my team who knew how to do SharePoint. I don't know if any of you have ever heard about SharePoint, but it's pretty ridiculous, and they were able to kind of revamp some of FEMA's SharePoint sites, so they were pretty valuable in that regard. But through my growing up in Southeast Alaska, through my undergraduate, and then through this experience as well, I decided that yes, totally affirm this is the path that I would like to do, and I was started to look for some more specialized education. I realized that Alaska really didn't have a whole lot to offer for me, so I moved myself down to Seattle, Washington, where they have some really awesome resources. I started working for Starbucks as a partner. I'm a barista, and so nothing super crazy, just saving lives one coffee at a time. But through them, I heard about ASU and not necessarily the flexibility it has to offer, but the more kind of openness that it has versus a traditional school. And I started to pursue it more. Turns out they had an emergency management and homeland security master's program, and I decided I was for sure going to do that. In working for Starbucks, though, the store that I'm now working at is a really special store. We still have our normal functioning cafe. We actually have a drive-through as well, so we're super busy in that regard. But the store is actually there for the community. It's the Community White Center store in White Center, Washington, Seattle, just right on the outskirts in unincorporated King County. And so as working there at Starbucks and working at this community store, it's really feeding my want for community, and it's feeding my passions, and I really love it. We are partnered with the YWCA, which is the Young Women's Christian Association, which is geared towards eliminating racism and empower women with the vision of having a healthy community transformation by having racial and gender equality, so that all women and girls have access to opportunities. They are in conjunction with the Highland Community College, which is just south of Seattle, and we offer training in our Starbucks where they have access to all of the stuff that you would normally have at any store to do a customer service training. And we have now hired at least 3 at my store, plus more through this program. So we're giving opportunity to different youths who wouldn't necessarily have it. So I think that's really awesome in regards to feeding that want for community and that want and needs for what the community is needing and what the community is asking for. Looking into the future and where I see where this river is taking me is that I would really hope to either stay with Starbucks or come back to Starbucks, specifically in the social impacts team. So those are the teams who open up these stores, and really placing an emphasis on the fact that yes, it's a normal store, but instilling in the partners and the folks who come to these stores is that we're really doing something quite spectacular. One of the things is that the store that I work at, we're actually heavily invested in volunteer work. So we actually volunteer 3 hours a week, every single week at Westside Baby. So it's not everybody goes over there, but we've committed to 5 volunteers for 3 hours each week in order for them to be able to continue to function. And so Westside Baby is a really awesome resource for social service agencies in West King County, because what Westside Baby does is they collect and inspect and distribute cribs, safety gear. They even have a lot of free diapers that come through that they can distribute out to a lot of families in need. And one interesting thing is what I really would like to stay in Seattle for is that the community in general is very distinct. So it's either you're living below poverty or you're living in the upper middle and higher class. The middle class and the working class is very small in comparison to the rest of the cities in the US. There's only about 20% who are middle class, and everybody else is either at the high extreme or the low extreme. So having agencies such as Westside Baby and having nonprofits like the YWCA and also partnering with larger corporations such as Starbucks, I think is a really empowering thing that's happening in the community. And I would love to continue to be a part of it for many years to come. I hope this wasn't too long. I hope that you guys learned a little bit about where I'm coming from, what I'm doing. And I can't wait to start to listen to what you guys are saying as well. So comment below if you have any questions. I always feel like you say like and subscribe because we're posting this on YouTube. But I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day.